and then we move. So maybe since Majin is here, I think, so let me conclude what I was saying so that we can throw it back to the recap. There are so many things that he has talked about. So I wanted us to have concrete actions that we think we can take forward. So I wanted us to what came out. So the presentation from Rachel, I talked about something, but I think the major one was from the Minister of Finance. I think there were so many other things that he talked about. The plans by government, or the gaps, as he says, people were angry yesterday. So how do we use this anger? So that is my major concern. So what is it that we're taking up moving forward? So I think I wanted us to highlight clear, actionable issues. It can be issues that are directed towards Meiji, towards NCA, towards journalists, towards faith leaders. What is it that we are doing moving forward? So that I think he captures them clearly, and maybe it can help us develop now an action point. So anyone who has any idea on for which is a burning issue to him, I do not want anyone to come to say, no, there was this problem that he took. No, I think we have done that analysis. I want actions. What do we think we can do? What are you proposing? Are you proposing specific issues that you are proposing? And we include them in our plans, and we see how we can support them. It is not only NCA. There are also many people who are interested in these issues. And if we are clear on what we want to do, I'm sure someone can come in to support us, even if the resources are not enough. So this is the time. Do we have clear actions that we think we should do, that we can plan, and that we start with next year? Hands. So if you are proposing, you should say, this action, I believe this, whether it's government should do this, or NCA you should do this, or Majin should do this. Yes. Yeah, so the first action is the development of the domestic resource mobilization strategy. So as we heard from the ministry yesterday, this current strategy ends in 2026. There is a new one, so that there is clear participation of CSOs, and that NCA, through its partners, should facilitate the participation of CSOs in the development of the new domestic resource mobilization strategy. So yesterday, I think we had a discussion with Dr. Wazi to say, how do we get participation? So he has already made a commitment that when he goes back to the ministry, they will formally write us, inviting us to the discussion table, and that they will share us all the plans that they have, and that we see where we can influence and participate. So what he was saying is, I think as also NCA, we are also making the same commitment. I think we'll do as the best we can to fight. We may not have all the resources. I think whatever we can support, we will. But I believe if we have a clear plan, we can mobilize more resources from other stakeholders as well. So that's the first action point. The second one, yes.
Yeah, I think if you look at the report, but also the issues that the report addresses that so good issues that maybe perhaps we can push and say so. But I think the Mahona Kati, Titakala Witakama design a campaign, national campaign towards some of the issues.
Okay.
Issues of how do we support the government in terms of the reform process around that, and how that benefit the country. Because normally I think what I've also observed that CSO have tried to lobby for increased budget allocation. They say can you MP doesn't be where are we getting the money? So I think perhaps the report is answering some of the questions. So if we can design a national campaign around that and then identify key areas where we can focus on engagement, high-level engagement, awareness raising in terms of how the country is using and how a country can benefit from some of the reform. Then we need to be now understanding from that perspective. But also in that campaign, dialogues and the giving of applications just for people to understand smaller notes around the report. But at the end of the day, we should be able to have targets and indicators to say, okay, on this action, this is what we want to achieve. So for me, I think what is important is can we get that report through a campaign, and that's just a campaign around that.
Okay.
Secondly, I think under maybe the task team, we will also make a deliberate effort to have negotiators, to train negotiators on these issues, because as you rightly said, when we are going for climate change negotiations, there is always a country position paper that even CSO are able to contribute, and the position paper is not higher over. It is done collectively. So even my young people are able to come up with their issues. So I think it's important that we can have an opportunity to be attending such forums. We should also be able to understand how such negotiations are carried out, and issues of diplomacy. So I think it can sustain some of the interventions that are moving forward. So these are the two issues that I thought right.
Yes. So I think just to re-emphasize them. So this is the number 2 is on the national campaign on tax justice using the CRI report. So the task is to the task team, of course, with the broad support of the broader civil society, coming up with a clear campaign with targets on how can we support government on this. How can we advocate this? Within this campaign, we'll have dialogues, high-level dialogues, capacity building, and so many other things. Yeah, so I think that's a good one. And I think the second one is on also an action point to the task team to now train negotiators, people who can, when they are going to such meetings, I think we need to get more organized, just as the climate people do, so that we have clear position on tax. Because from the work plan of the UN, this framework will take up to 2027. So we have the entire 2026 and 2027. I know next year, 2026 December, there will also be other negotiations. So what are we taking now? This year we might not have anything solid, like a position paper, but the next one, I think we should go there so that we're able to do research. So that's also a clear action point. So we have 3. Yes, I think there was a hand here. Yeah.
Apart from the national campaign and also engaging on the strategic plan, the next strategic plan, would be the issue of the bill, because they've also talked about drafting a taxation bill to address the old laws and stuff. Because I think one of the things is that when the masses are ignorant, they are blank, members of parliament are not accountable to anybody, and they will focus on self-interests. So I thought that the task force can also look into working alongside the Ministry of Finance, and then they can bring in sensitization, they can bring in accountability to make sure that the bill is passed and is in favor of the tax justice cause. Besides the bill, there is also the issue that was raised yesterday, which I think has come up in many fora, the PPDA. I'm not sure if they're established by an act of parliament. I think we talk about them in many circles, but that task force can also be a place where they are held accountable, or we hear their side of the story. What would make them sit on billions of kwachas or sit on procedures, contractual procedures, and delay progress? So maybe other people will fine-tune it in terms of how we can help. I don't know whether through a parliamentary committee or somehow, but the task force can take it up so that the issue of the PPDA sitting on matters can also be looked into. Thank you.
So the task bill that is coming up. So it's not just one bill. I think as we saw, there are quite a number of reforms that I think the task force should be actively participating and put pressure on government and also on members of parliament to make sure that whatever comes out is favorable. Yes, so I think on top of that, we can say maybe doing an analysis of this, making sure that the public knows that this amendment, I think it's, as I said, that's what happened in Kenya. For the Kenyans to rise up, it was CSOs who just made an analysis to say what it means you are going to pay this much more on tax. So I think that also is needed here to say if we can do quick analysis and share what is in the bill. What does it mean for an ordinary citizen? So, you know, the pressure in Kenya, it meant the whole bill was suspended. Up to now, it has not passed, you know. So we need to have some such momentum as well at country level. So I think that's one of the roles of the task team. And the last one is the PPTA. This is number 5, to say how do we hold PPTA accountable. I think concerns have been raised so many times. I remember one time, the head of state, I also heard what he said about PPTA. So I think my concern that time was if this man is complaining just like me, then are we safe as a country? Who can hold these people? Who are these people who are so difficult that even the president cannot even ask them anything? So that was a major concern. So as he says, maybe we should hear their side of the story. What is it about PPTA? Yes, so I think point taken. Yes, Noel? Oh, so I think I've jumped somewhere. So yeah, so it's.
I just wanted to add on what he said. We should take advantage of in right now. Our members of parliament would like to show something that they are doing, starting maybe 2026. They would love to show us that they are doing something. So we would as well take advantage of that and loop them in on what we are doing as a network. And I also wanted to add on issues to do with utilization of tax. Maybe our task force can also take it up to monitor or track the collected tax so that we should have a better utilization. So these are the 2 tasks that our force can also start with. Thank you.
Yeah, so I know previously facilitated information of a parliamentary network on illicit financial flows, which was also, and these guys have gone and unfortunately none of them has come back. All of them are out, meaning we don't have anyone who knows these things now. So we need to start building them. So we supported them last year to attend the training in Zimbabwe. 3 MPs. We supported them as NCA they attended a training on illicit financial flows in Zimbabwe, but unfortunately none of them has come back. So maybe we need to identify other members of parliament. So they usually come from the Budget and Finance Committee of Parliament, because they are the ones that look at. So we had a lot of plans with these guys, that we do this when we go to parliament, but as I said, they are all out, meaning we might have to do another round of, we need to introduce this concept to parliament and help ask them to identify new members, especially the chairperson of the Budget and Finance is always in the committee. Yes. And the second issue I think that she has raised is on the issue of, can you remind me? The second issue is on, I think you raised 2 points, yes. Or monitoring, yes. Just to also add value to that, I think in other countries, they do what they call in parliament, they present reports on tax exemptions, where parliament gets a report on all the tax collected and also a report on all tax exemptions, to say, because of an exemption on withholding tax. Because if you see, most of the hotels have withholding tax exemptions, so they don't pay this. So parliament gets reports on how much are we losing, so that members of parliament can make decisions. Can you withdraw this exemption? Can we withdraw? We don't get reports because our law does not mandate the MRI to produce such reports. So those are some of the things that we can also try to push. Yes. So Noel, then Dr. Sapato.
Yeah, I'm reflecting from what the presented yesterday. He mentioned about the formal and the informal sectors, and the larger percentage of taxpayers are within the informal. Only that the formal ones do have that big bracket of contribution. But at the same time, we have the political and the external pressures in the country that normally influenced by either the International Monetary Fund, the big boys that are inside, that are here in Malawi, the World Bank, Mwina Sonhaizina, Pamakalaso political considerations, Mwina Hati Kweze, Chitipange. I remember there was a suggestion with the Anjingazaka Baza, Ambe Kupereka, because there's so much money there. So as much as we think there's so much money there, those people are striving to raise that money. There I was suggesting, why can't we have once in a while, Mwina Uchita facilitate a national engagement forum, particularly with the informal sector. Imene kwambiri on daily small business, but they're still making money, because the tax collection processes is deemed as unfair. Normally, when we talk about tax near and Rwanda, they always say no, it's unfair. And the understanding of these tax issues mostly is the elite group, which leaves a larger chunk of the majority that are in daily businesses. And that and cause chaos when government is being pushed, the big boys or World Bank could adjust certain tax levels. So probably to equate that, if we could consider having a specific forum for this group, so that they still understand issues of adjustments, they should see the relevance of them contributing, other than the come and promote evading tax.
Okay. Yeah. So it's about how to make physical meetings with all these people, or we can engage the leadership, or should we target radio programs where we do sensitization on taxation? So I think we need, as a tax team, I think it has to look into how best do we do this, because I don't think I've heard a lot of programs on radio on issues of taxation. There are not many. We have talked about the mining right now, it's coming up, people are talking, but on tax, it's only MRA that does its jingles. But now to digest the tax, what is it, that does it mean? Yeah, so, yeah, Dr. Ansapa.
Thank you very much. I would like to build on the presentation that we need to engage the informal sector and even the local people. And I think that can happen if we are able to simplify the language, because it requires a lot of expertise, a lot of jargon, and maybe if we are engaging the local people, even our members of parliament, it will require that we simplify. So if we have a policy brief that is available, it's simple and available in the local languages, I think it can help in moving ahead. The other thing, I'm not sure if it was mentioned already, because I missed a session yesterday, but there is this domestic resource mobilization strategy, which was launched by the ministry. I think we might need to look at it, review it, and maybe, because it's supposed to, I think it's 2021 to 2026. So maybe we might need to do a review, an independent review by CSOs on how this has been implemented, especially from the tax justice perspective, and come up with our position on it. Thirdly, I'm looking at the networking, because if we are to influence the UN tax convention debate, we need to network locally but also internationally. So I think this is where the Tax Justice Network Africa comes in, but we also need to see how we can get into the organs, the political organs like the African Union, the Regional Economic Communities, SADC, ECOWAS, but also other economic communities, so that the language is the same. And even cross-sectoral discussion, because this language about tax justice may be a language for economists, okay? But we need to see how people in education, like myself, people in health, people in climate change and others, I know there is already representation from various sectors, but it shouldn't just be individuals. Like Limbani Sapato is aware of what's happening, but the membership within those networks, because people will be attending different meetings. So if we can use those platforms to spread the word and do our advocacy, I think it will be critical. So I was just looking at these areas. Maybe one last thing is, normally as a civil society, we like to be critical, identify issues, and advocate, but we should be more of providing solutions. What are the solutions that we are offering? Because the criticism people have been hearing, but what are the solutions? And we need to be part of the solutions, rather than always just identifying the problem and be part of the problem. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, so I think there are 2, 3 Number one is on the language of these issues, that we need to simplify the language, because there are so many documents that are there, but for the understanding of the local man, even the MPs, we need to simplify. So I think the committee, the forum that is going to be formed, and also Meiji, that's a major responsibility to try to collect. He talks about the strategy. Yes, it was talked about yesterday by the ministry, and I think we are planning on how we can support. The networking, very important. For us, I think that's what we also raised yesterday, that I think we have really been limited at national level here. But at regional level, we have been part of the TJNA network. So the Tax Justice Network Africa has been facilitating capacity building, virtual capacity building sessions since January 2025. So they have held more than maybe 8 sessions, updating all CSOs across, and I remember in one meeting there were about 226 civil society organizations from Europe, South America, North America, Asia, Africa. Yeah, but I think what we noticed at that time, as I said yesterday, is that there was no Malawi institution at that time. So our representation, maybe it's because we were not aware, and I think that's why we as NCA said, no, let's start this discussion here. So that next year, I think when we form a forum, I think we can be able to share updates. So there's been quite a lot, and even in Nairobi next week, all CSOs that are going there are going to meet with the Tax Justice Network Africa, and they will discuss first what will be the African position. What should we as CSOs say when we go to the UN? So we have got the global network on tax justice, the Tax Justice Network Africa, that are already facilitating international level discussions. And I think they were, through these networks, they participated at the SADC People's Summit. They were at the Finance for Development Conference in Spain. They were also at the African Union. So I think there is a lot of CSO voice, but the Malawi component is what we have been worried about, to say why are we not being visible. And I think we hope that after this, we should be able to regularly meet, whether virtually when we don't have, and also physically when we have the resources, so that we are able to continue the debate and move it forward. Yes. And I think the last one was on, there were 3, on providing solutions. Yes. I think Dr. Jamali, I quoted him. He said, we are a lamentation space. We keep lamenting, and we don't say, okay, so this is a problem, so what should we do? So government is always asking us, what should we do? And unfortunately, we don't provide the solution. So I think we need to invest. Unfortunately, I think the funding space is shrinking. But one of the ways was to invest in research, so that we do our own studies, collect the data, and engage government with data. But if you see, most of us, when we write proposals, donors don't want to fund studies. It's very difficult for a donor to fund a study. And with the funding challenge we have, I think it will be more promoted. But I think we should find ways on how we can collect information and also maybe learn from other countries. So I think for us, for last year we had a training on faith leaders. I think he was there. He came. We invited Tax Justice Network Africa here. They came and conducted a 2-day training for faith leaders in Malawi on these issues. So I think we have the resources that we can always invite. As long as we are organized, we don't have a problem with that. Yes, Cecilia.
To the Ministry of Finance, the recommendation based on the presentation would be recommending the ministry for the active participation in the UN processes. So at least the ministry should maintain consistent participation and even reporting on the convention processes to safeguard Malawi's interest, just like the others. And on the same, like the tax and the digital economic fair, that's accelerate the development of domestic legal frameworks for digital taxation, the e-commerce and online payments and data-driven advertisements, just like yesterday. So finally, investing in the tax administration capacity, like with the MRA, in terms of data analytics, cross-border information exchange, and vis-a-vis the audit of digital platforms to enhance compliance and reduce tax evasions.
Unena kuti kufika 2026, whilst we wait for 2026, I feel something still has to be happening pakatipa. Pajatimati ukamadikirira kuti dzunguli ziziro makha kuja mphonda mbalina. So for us not to lose the steam, perhaps some little things also can be happening. Kuti muna pozafika 2026 kuzongokhala boom. But now also he mentioned on the issue of advocacy. I would also propose kuti anthu amene angakhale mu committee or muna the frontiers or our front faces of the committee. Akhale anthu amene angakhale ndi I think credibility one. Komanso akhale kuti nkhope zawo I think muna new faces. I remember last time when the Reverend Father David spoke about nkhani ya magetsi. Magetsi angovuta kumalawi kuno akulalikira mmawa. Inatentha kwambiri Malawi you say. Because this is a new voice, the new face is a man of credibility, for example, right? We know within ourselves, maybe not directly in this organization, in this room, coming outside the organizations, members of the CSO, who sometimes acting at members of the CSO, but maybe also majia manyandale. All right? Panopa yambakale kuyamikira boma hii. Tikwazi wakale. Committee hii katenta, you see them also kukhaa kutsogolo speaking now. So now if we happen to front them, it means ndaya kuti mungatupanga advocate muna tukuwape mphaboma ndisina nzizina sangatinge serious because they think ndi anthu omwe aja. Chifukwa nkhani za taxi muzoyoti zimapinja aboma aja chifukwa muna nthawi zina apanga divert taxi ija kuti ziyakomere mbali nangati yandale, right? So we need to bring a balance. Ndekuti anthu amene akena kukhala kutsogolo kwathuko akhale anthu kuti at least ndolemere, right? Yeah, sure.
Okay, on this one, yeah, it's a very important point that he raised. And if you look in this room, they are not here. It's not by choice, but deliberate. I know. I know them, we know them. That's why they are not here. Yeah, so even in the selection of the participation to this forum, I had that in mind because I know. That's why they are not here. And they made it possible to push themselves in here, but we said no. I can even show you messages. Why are we not there? Why did you not invite us? Yeah, but I know. That's why they are not here. Thank you.
So thank you. So I think I will just emphasize what Cecilia says. I think it's something that we also did this year. Before this meeting, we had a meeting with the Minister of Finance, and we were asking him why Malawi is not participating at the UN Tax Convention. And that's where we met Dr. Komega. So I think he referred us to Dr. Komega, and exactly what he said yesterday is that he was nominated, but he was not supported. And one thing is that he recommended, Dr. Komega, was that as the CSO, can you write a letter on why our participation at this convention is critical. And we did write the letter with a meeting. We submitted to the minister. Of course, we did not get a response because it was very close to the election. But I think it's something that we'll continue. We'll start with maybe now. Already engage the ministry. I think we were discussing with Mike. That will be one of the key actions of the task team, to immediately engage the Minister of Finance and share these issues with him, and emphasize on why our participation at the UN is very critical. And also reporting back to us on what is happening there will be very critical. So that will be the first action point. And I think you also talked about, I think most of your actions were going towards the ministry. Yeah. So I think he also talked about some of those issues. Yeah, so I think the issue of the digital economy and also capacity of MRI, the tax administration. Yes, I think we'll look at that. One of the issues that we have had as a challenge with this forum, we started last year. When we invite MRI to our meetings, they don't come. We have had challenges with MRI. And we are planning to drive to Luntha to physically meet the big man and talk to him about all these concerns. Because when we invite them to meetings, they rarely show up. So I don't know, maybe they are so scared of questions and what. Yeah, but one of the things that also that the team is going to do is to maybe select a delegation and meet the MRA team right in their offices in Luntha, just to share some of these issues. That would be one of the way forward. And I think, yes, so Mike has already commented on this issue. I think one of the, so I think you saw the approach we took yesterday. The first part was what we call the theological reflection. So the face of tax justice is faith leaders. It's deliberate. Yes, so in last year, we were using, the face was Bishop Martin Ntumbu. Yes, he's the one who had a lot of voice. So we are trying now to train more of them so that we have bigger voices. So these are the CSOs, but the faith community is very key because it brings in a moral aspect to issues of taxation. So I think your concerns have been already considered, and I think we'll make sure that, yes, and again, we've talked about maybe as we wait for next year. So Mike shared yesterday that the same team is the one that is going to meet IMF next week, the same team. So the same team before December, they're going to meet MRA. The same team is going to meet the Minister of Finance, the new Minister of Finance. So there's already a lot of activities happening even before 2026. Yeah, so I think we'll make sure that we are not quiet, but we are active. So of course, for me, I think I'm placing a responsibility here that Megin from our end leads this process. So if we see quietness, let's point at them. If we are quiet, because Megin, that's why the Megin was established, to advocate for tax justice. So if Megin is quiet, then let's question Megin too. Why are you quiet? You see? So we are giving a responsibility that Megin should be convening these meetings. Megin should be, but of course with the support of the team. But Megin bears primary responsibility to convene these meetings from today moving forward, sharing information, because I know you are in platforms that most of us are not. So whenever you get information, please share with everyone. Yes, Father T. You can speak. I think there is no, you want this?
On the point being raised, which Sam has raised and Mike has echoed on, it's true. Advocacy in this regard is very important, and we have tried as faith leaders, and using media, as Mai has said, is a good way to keep the duty holders to the direction where there is a problem. My belief is at times people who are around the people who make decisions don't tell them the truth, and as such they tend to see a direction that is not really the proper one because people don't tell them the truth. Is it risky? It is. I have tested it and I know what it feels like. I know you know what I mean, and it was very difficult. At some moment, the example he has given on the electricity and the blackouts at that moment, I less expected that clip was going to go that viral until when it went around and it came back to me. It was never my intention to go that way, but it went that way, and it had to bring some consequences to me personally as a person. And the recent popular dashboard issue as well brought consequences. What do I want to appeal is that we go together as a joint effort. We are not pushing personal agendas, but the good of the country. And when we speak together, and we're speaking one voice, which was said there yesterday by the one from the Ministry of Finance, that we are speaking one voice, then we are going to move the country to a better direction, and the attack is not pointed to one person. It was unfortunate when I would see my name and pictures and associated to some political party, and I certainly am not associated to any political party, but the good of the country. And so my plea is, as we engage faith leaders, but we join together efforts, and when such engagements are in, it's beautiful when we are invited to come to learn and get to know the information on ground, and then we can move together for the best of our country. Thank you.
But if there's anything else, I think we'll have, as we close, we'll also give a chance to any additions. But I think there is an issue about time, that the presentation TGNA coming at 3 will be a bit late. Yes, so I think that's what, to say if it's virtual, can people join virtually? That's that's a picture I got. So the feeling is that from 3 o'clock, I think we'll have nothing else to do here. Yes, because from the program after the National Planning Commission, we might have to elect the tax team. Yes, so that means we have concluded the agenda, and we'll be waiting for TGNA, and they will do that at 3 o'clock. Is that realistic? So maybe it's a question that we should agree on, or we can cut. Yes. All right. Yes. Okay. So I think it's time for tea. So he says they have to engage TGNA, and they'll come back to us maybe before lunch hour and see if we can end the meeting early. Yeah. So, but before we close, we'll also come back to the plenary so that we conclude on all the issues. Yes. Yeah. So over to you, Mike, if there's anything.
A big hand for taking us through this process. Quite comprehensive issues coming up, so challenging, and you crucified me immediately. But I take that as a challenge, and also an opportunity as we are finalizing the 2026 work plan. Already I have this as activities. So I believe when I submit to you as my my work plan, I will not have issues because you know where they are coming from. So these are already my activities for 2026. I will just have to formulate them in a way that makes sense, aligning them to the thematic areas that we are chasing as a program. But all the same, this is really quite comprehensive. I don't want to start commenting on them now. Yeah, but there are really already some pointers leading to almost each one of them, and also some already background work that at least we have done. That will not start from a scratch. We will be just picking it from somewhere and then moving towards that direction. So this is very commendable, and I hope and believe that at the end of it all, we'll also go around a summary of what has been done, and where possible, make some adjustments or adding to whatever will come out, especially after the presentation from the National Planning Commission, which we also hope will unearth a lot of issues in terms of how are we progressing in as far as our national agenda, implementation of the national agenda is concerned. So I think at that level, we would engage in plenary with them and also isolate some issues that we could add to this very list. Otherwise, we can break for tea now and come back in the next 15-20 minutes. By then, I think the National Planning Commission will be in, because they had indicated that they'll be here by 10. They were engaging with the World Bank, IMF this morning, so it should be here by 10. That's the indication they gave. Otherwise, let's break for tea for now. Thank you.
kulipira school fees kwa phweka tsopano. Listen the fees by Airtel Money. Mutha kulipira school fees mosavuta kudzera pa foni yanu. Tsatirani ndondomeko zotsatirazi. Choyamba,